If you're a freelancer that wants to land and expand with your clients so you don't always have to keep chasing new clients, you definitely want to watch this video. I'm going to be sharing 3 different strategies that any freelancer doing services can use. The first strategy is a volume play. So this is a really classic strategy where you do a little bit and then you do more. So let's say when you first sign a new client, you're going to write 2 blog posts or you're going to design 1 web page. Okay, you do that, and honestly, it's a good idea for you to do it only because it gives you as much of a chance to vet the client as it gives the client a chance to vet you. Because if you sign this enormous project up front, then you're at a huge risk. And I talk about that in another video, and I'm gonna link it somewhere, I forget where it goes. So check out that video if you're curious why you shouldn't try to chase large contracts up front. But the land and expand here is volume, where you do a little bit, you test it, you test the working relationship, you test that you are able to deliver what they need, and then you do more of it. So instead of doing 2 posts, you do 10 or 20 or 30, or they bring you on for the whole project, or maybe they subcontract you out, whatever it is. Volume play is number 1. Number 2 is project hopping. So you do a little bit to start out. Again, I love doing those trial features, paid of course, trials to see if you're good for them, they're good for you, and then you go to project to project to project. So maybe they don't have an enormous blog that you can write 2 posts to start and then expand out to 30 or 40 and get tens of thousands of dollars. But you can go to a sales enablement content project, write a white paper, that's 1 project. You can write some blog posts, that's another project. You can do some executive ghostwriting, that's another project. So this is another way that in aggregate, you end up with a really big client. I've done this multiple times with clients of mine where I start out writing a blog post and then I'll write blogs, white papers, research, social media, sometimes emails, things like that. And it easily brings the whole project into the tens of thousands of dollars per year category, where you're almost earning a full-time wage for a part-time client or full-time revenue because you're a business owner. The third is a popular one that everyone's heard of, a little contentious, it's the retainer. So you go from your trial to test that working relationship and then you sign a retainer. But you have to be aware of the fact that retainers are hard to get and hard to maintain. So when you're scoping a retainer, you should always think about the amount that they know they need. I know it can be so tempting to go for that big number, sign that huge retainer agreement. That's gonna feel amazing for about 5 seconds, but it causes problems down the road, which I'm gonna talk about. So when you get the retainer, the easiest retainer to get is the one that is the absolute need. Your client knows that they need it, whatever scope. It can be small, it can be huge, but they have to know that they need it. And then you can add a la carte options on top. So it's kind of a retainer plus model. That way you get some of the sustainability and scalability of a retainer. You get the security of it, the 3 S's, but then you can add more and more as you go. And what you would do is at the end of each month, you send an invoice for the retainer plus any additional work that they ask you to do. That's how you're going to get it, do the retainer plus model, but keeping it is challenging, especially if you go for that big retainer, that alluring number, because you have to then bake in time to chase down your client and say, okay, wait, how are we going to fill this retainer? What tasks are we going to do? I need to deliver things on time to make sure that we don't have bleed into next month. And it adds a lot of stress to your plate. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, and you might get compensated well enough that you don't have a problem doing that, but it is something to be really conscious of that is mitigated in the retainer plus model, because you're again only focusing on exactly what they need and offering the opportunity to grow and be more flexible. So those are the 3. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you use other strategies to land and expand. Leave them in the comments. And if you have any questions, ask away, whether it's about landing and expanding or building a freelance business in general, and I'll get to it in another video.